Well, we can go ahead and get started. And I'm glad Mark's here to help out because Mark, he's very experienced in this area, this topic that we're going to be covering today. We were asked by the trainer to talk about fundraising and some of the new ideas and not just new ideas, but the traditional ideas that clubs can explore. So we wanted to make this session interactive. I have some thoughts that I wanted to just kind of go over, but I certainly don't want to just be a speaker today. I want this to be interactive. If others have thoughts that could help others on the call in terms of how their clubs might use fundraising or develop a new fundraiser, we want to hear from you. So please, by all means, share your ideas and, because we want to hear from you. So, I wanted to just talk first really quickly about some of the reasons why a club might want to have a fundraiser. Now, obviously, the obvious reason would be to raise funds. They need the funds to, be able to pay for all their projects and scholarships and whatever others activities they're doing. But, some of the other ideas that might go into why a club would want to do a fundraiser, I believe, is that it is an incredible fellowship opportunity. I think when clubs come together and the members come together to do a fundraiser, it really builds that fellowship. Some of the best times I've had in my club is working on the fundraisers that my clubs are doing. And I believe that one of the reasons people really choose to stay in Rotary and into the Rotary clubs is that fellowship that they find. So I'm a strong believer that that fellowship can really be built through, joining a fundraising team as a member of your club. And another reason I would argue that is a good reason to have a fundraiser and develop a fundraiser in your club beyond the obvious of raising funds is the leadership opportunities. You can learn an awful lot, I believe, by joining a fundraising team. Event planning, speakers, sponsorships, all those things that go into successfully planning and carrying out a fundraiser, I believe can be used in many aspects of our Rotary experience. So, just thinking outside the box, I believe there's a lot of good reasons why a club would want to have a fundraiser beyond the obvious of raising funds. Now, one thing I wanted to point out that not every fundraiser is a good fit for every club. Some large clubs can host an event and do a fundraiser that obviously smaller clubs can't do. Some fundraising activities take a tremendous amount of work, and the smaller clubs might just not be able to do that. However, that I believe is an opportunity for some of the smaller clubs to pair with other clubs, and together they can build successful fundraising projects and endeavors. I know I've seen that in my area here. Some of the clubs have worked together. Mark, are you aware of other clubs in our district that have worked together to jointly sponsor fundraisers?
Yeah, Dan, it's not really common, but because some of our clubs are quite a distance away from each other, but especially down here in the East Bay and up in Reading, I know that the Reading clubs, they used to do the rubber Ducky Derby,
right?
And that was a huge fundraiser. All the clubs were involved, and they raised a tremendous amount of money for a lot of nonprofit organizations up in the Reading area. So yeah, it just requires a little additional coordination, cooperation, but that can be very rewarding, and also get the clubs working better together, get them to know each other better a little bit, a little bit more.
Yes. Okay. So wanted to talk about some of the traditional fundraisers, and by all means, if anyone on this Zoom call has experience with some of these events, please, we want to hear from you as to your club's experience and your personal experience with it. I would say, though, one thing you want to put a lot of thought into before you just go out and start a fundraiser is you want to consider conflicts. And by that, I don't mean well, by that, I mean the conflicts that are important to avoid are you don't want to have, say, a crab feed on the same weekend that your church down the road is having a crab feed, or the other Rotary Club just, a few miles down the road. So got to make sure to put a little thought into what events we're going to do. Also, the timing of the events. A lot of clubs try very hard to avoid fundraisers, say, during the spring break when families are maybe going out of town, same with the summer holidays. So I would just suggest that before a club begins, just schedule a brand new fundraiser. They put some thought in that. Consider the conflicts that might arise from either the type of fundraiser that you have, or the date and or the location. Are you competing against, say, the high school's booster clubs for a date or an event? Or are you competing against the local Catholic Church or other things of that nature? I don't know if anyone has any experiences with that they want to share. Feel free to pipe in, but I would just suggest that. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the traditional fundraisers that I've seen in 5160 and in Rotary. And then I was going to share some ideas that how we have adapted to the new way of doing things since the COVID situation, and with technology the way it is. So some of the traditional fundraisers that I've seen that have been very successful in our district, I would say what comes maybe top to mind are some of the golf tournaments that our district holds, and many of the clubs. I know the Fairfield Sassoon Club has a very big golf tournament. So does Davis, Antioch, Vacaville. Mark, are you aware of the other clubs in our district that hold some very successful golf tournaments?
I know the Brentwood Club has a big one. And I believe the Reading Riverview Sunset Club also has a pretty big golf tournament.
Okay. And those golf tournaments, I think, are very successful for a variety of reasons. Namely, just a lot of people like to golf, and the more successful golfing fundraisers, they are getting they're not just focused on the Rotarians. They're bringing in other people who are willing to support the project, support the clubs. And because there's so many people who like to golf, I think that's a very successful way that a lot of clubs have traditionally held fundraisers. Another one has just been runs, walkathons, runathons, maybe 5Ks, 10Ks, things like that. I know, and some clubs like to hold like carbo load feeds before those events. So a lot of clubs, I think, have had a lot of success in those types of fundraisers as well. So if your club is looking to start a new fundraiser, that might be something your club could consider doing. One of my favorite types of fundraiser events to attend have been the crab feeds. I think our district, they just, many clubs in our district just hit it out of the ballpark with some of the crab feeds. I've been the Anderson Club. I attended their crab feed. It's traditionally held, I believe, in February. Same with the Paradise Club. The Danville Club used to hold a very good crab feed. I don't think they've had it since the COVID situation, and I haven't attended it, but I've been told the Dixon Club holds a very good crab feed as well. Mark, what's your experience with the crab feed fundraisers?
You've named a lot of the big ones there, Dan. The trick is, of course, as you mentioned, well, not the trick, but as you mentioned, it's trying to avoid conflicts on that, because especially during January and February, a lot of different organizations have crab feeds. And so you want to try to make sure that you pick a weekend, normally Saturday night's the best way to go, where you're not competing with another group. Because one thing, another great thing, along with what Dan mentioned in terms of the fellowship and the leadership development, it's the ability to promote Rotary in your club. A great fundraiser is that's very visible, that people know about, that people are excited about, is a great way for you to let people know about Rotary and invite them to a club meeting and hopefully pick up some new members from that. So that's also a great reason to invest your time and energy in a good fundraiser.
Yes, well said, Mark. Another one that I just had down on my list, where Mark already touched upon it, was the Ducky Derby that was held in Reading. They haven't held it in a little while, but hopefully
it's been like 3 years, I think, since I had the last one. I'm not quite sure. Oh, I think what really happened was the outfit that has the the copyright on that really jacked up the cost of renting the damn ducks. And so they kind of, they looked at it, they did a bottom line. Another thing to think about the fundraiser, do a bottom line analysis and make sure that what you're doing with that fundraiser, that the return on your investment of time and effort by your club is going to be worth it. There's nothing, it's kind of discouraging if you put a lot of time and effort into a fundraiser and, then only maybe make a couple $1,000, but you feel like your members have put in a couple thousand hours, planning it.
Absolutely. I know my club, we had an experience with that as well. We used to hold a talent show night. We call it the Valley Teen Idol. And it was a wonderful event. We let the local teens come in and the talent they had was incredible, but we're a very small club and it just got, be too much of a workload for our little club to hold such a big event, especially when the return wasn't exactly mirroring the amount of work that we went into. So I would just echo and agree with Mark's comment there. Mark, do you want to explain for those who aren't familiar with it what the Ducky Derby actually is? I mean, what are people buying?
Oh, well, what people were doing, all the ducks have numbers on them, and they were getting, they were buying the opportunity to be the winning duck, so to speak. So I think they're like $10 a duck or something. But the 5 rating clubs worked together to sell those. And for the most part, they weren't raising money so much for themselves. They were raising money for a lot of the nonprofit organizations and good causes in Reading. And it was a major fundraising source for a lot of those groups. So I wish I could say I know what they're doing since then, since they don't do the Derby anymore, but I don't know that information. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, another fundraiser that I attended just this past year that I thought went very well. I'm not sure this is right for every Rotary Club, but Doherty Valley the Doherty Valley Rotary Club put on a truck time, which was, I thought, a very successful event. I went into it thinking, I'm not so sure about this one, but I walked out just a true believer. I really liked that event. Mark, why don't I let you share? Yeah, because I know you were there as well.
Oh yeah, no, the first time they did it was in 19, so then they had to wait 3 years, to do it again in 22. They couldn't do it in 2020 or 21. But what they do is they basically bring in big trucks, some military vehicles, police, fire department, construction, you name it, and kids, especially, boys, toddler up to whatever, and sometimes the big boys too, we would just go nuts over these trucks because, in some cases they have, the operators there, if it's a big, like a bucket truck, or it's a crane or something, but then of course, being able to hit the sirens and the fire engines and the police cars, that's a big deal. But also it's a great event because it brings in young families. And that's a group we're really trying to reach out to in Rotary, so we can find some younger members. And and the best way to do that is to provide something that their kids will enjoy. So yeah, the Doherty Valley San Ramon Club truck time has been, it did really well its first year, and it was huge this year. They do it in I think it was in April, I want to say. Does that sound about right, Dan?
That does sound about right.
April,
yes.
May, yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone's in the area, when they host that event, I would recommend just, making a trip out there because it was just a wonderful event. So another type of fundraising that a lot of clubs do are casino nights, where they might have poker or some other type of casino. Mark, do you know of any clubs in our district that actually hold such an event? I was actually kind of struggling to come up with that one, though I did see that this is, it may be in other districts, a very popular type of fundraiser.
Yeah, the casino night, Dan, I don't know of any off the top of my head. I'm sure there probably are, but I can't think of any. I know though the Moraga Club has a very successful night of the races. So that essentially is they rent the operation, and basically this is Ollie checking in. You run. You have people who are they're placing bets on horses. They have they have videos of horse races. So you have win, place, and show. They do a dinner beforehand. They have an auction associated with it, and they normally I think they normally clear somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000 off that for for a one night event, and they normally do that in early March. And I say that because sometimes it conflicts with with getting their president to Pets that same weekend. So
right.
Or the president-elect.
Okay. Well, just going down my list, another, I think, very successful traditional type of fundraisers that a lot of Rotary clubs do would be the wine, beer, whiskey, drinking. I know my club, we used to hold it was called Night of the Classics, where it was we'd have a Scotch master come in and talk about Scotch. But that was just one example. I think the Brentwood Club has a very big beer event. I attended the Rio Vista tequila tasting event maybe about 2 months ago. Really enjoyed that. They had tequila masters come in, and there were different tables. You can taste the different tequilas. And I'm not a tequila drinker, but I really had a good time at those events. Mark, how about you? What are your experience with those types of events in the district?
Yeah, I'm just looking at what Sarah just shared with us. Yeah, I know. I think if I'm not mistaken, look at Thomas. I'm not sure if it's the Woodland Sunrise Club, but I believe one of the Woodland clubs has a big brew fest of some sort. You can always get information.
The Luna Vista Club, which is our evening club, have started out as Oktoberfest, and they've changed the name of it. But yeah, that's very successful.
Okay.
And I know up in Reading, they have what they call a Taste of Reading. So I believe that's the Reading West Club.
I think that is Reading West.
They work with a lot of different restaurants and and local brew pubs, and basically it's on the street. It gives people a chance to kind of go and they pay for their ticket, and they're able to go sample food and beverages in the downtown Reading area. Another possibility is looking at if your area has an art and wine festival. I know that most of the Rotary clubs in the La Miranda area are involved in the Lafayette Art and Wine Festival, which is coming up actually next weekend. And that's another. It's a good opportunity to be very visible, along with making money, but being visible and letting people know about what your club specifically and Rotary is doing in general in the community.
Very good. Yeah. I think another possibility would be a pancake feed. I know the Dunsmuir Club they have a very successful gourmet pancake breakfast that they hold. And I think that's, how do I say, low-hanging fruit. I don't think there's a tremendous amount of work involved in something like that, but the return could be very good. It could bring in young families, because kids love pancakes. So I think that's something that a club could consider as a fundraising project. Mark, any thoughts on that?
Oh, I know Miranda Sunrise does the pancake breakfast for the 4th of July in Orinda. So that's another thing to think about. Look at events that are already taking place in your community, and maybe think about something that maybe is missing from that event that your club can capitalize on. and participate in that event. And sometimes that's a little less effort than having to do the whole thing yourself, but just participate as a just having a specific item for or item or service for sale at that event.
Right on. Okay. Now, I don't know if for those who have been on the call from the beginning or the session beginning, Mark mentioned another project, the fundraising project that is very successful in our district. I want to give Mark a little more time to talk about that. It's the Clayton Valley Rotary Club's Cars for a Second Chance.
Yeah.
Mark?
This is actually Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise Club started this a number of years ago because they had two of their members, Dave and Mary Chemnitz, who were in the auto business. They knew how to work with auction houses and other places that deal with cars. But what they would do is if a car was was not in that good shape, they probably would just go to the auction house and get the proceeds from there. But what Dave and Mary would do, they would donate their professional services. And if a car just needed a little bit of work, they would work on it and be ready to sell it. And that part came about primarily after the fire up in Chico, almost 4 years ago now, because so many people up there, they lost their vehicle, they lost everything. And so this was an opportunity for clubs in the Bay Area to basically say, hey, we're going to, get cars, used cars, but in good condition up to you. So you'll have a vehicle again. And that was something that was just, it was a really good, feel good project for everybody, but it also, turned out to be a real lifesaver for those clubs. So that continued. So with Cars Second Chance, what we do is, if we get a car, get cars, get them fixed up. In some cases, they are donated to people in need. But more generally, what happens is, and it's actually now 2 clubs are involved with this. It's Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise and Miranda Sunrise, because actually Dave Chemnitz moved to our club. Go figure. But what happens is, we take care of all the work. The clubs that are that find the vehicle, that work with the donor, they get half the proceeds from the sale of that car. The other half, we Miranda Sunrise and Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise hang on to it, because it's a fundraiser for us, but also we take care of all the administrative expenses. But it's a really easy way, even now with the cost of used cars really being out of sight, we still had good luck in finding donors who are willing to, when they understand the situation, they'd rather donate the car and get the tax deduction than go through the hassle of trading it in at a dealership or trying to sell it themselves. Because Cars Second Chance takes care of all the paperwork. You get the tax deduction. The donor of the vehicle gets the tax deduction, and your club gets half of the proceeds. And some of these cars they sell for a couple $1,000, but there have been some vehicles that sell for over $10,000. And so it is a great way. This can be considered an ongoing fundraising opportunity for any club. And Dave Chemnitz, who I often sit next to at our club meetings, he says the things to look for are people with lots of that may have several cars on the street or in their driveway. Look for cobwebs, because that tells they haven't been driven for a while, and expired registration tags. But just we want to go up there, let people know about what this is all about. And the best way to do this is just go to carssecondchance.org. So cars2ndchance.org, and that'll give you all the information about how the program works, and let you know how you can participate in it. Or if you want to talk to somebody, either Dave or Mary Chemnitz, you can call 925-326-5868. But again, this is something that it's been a tremendous fundraiser for Miranda Sunrise and Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise. But it can be equally great opportunity for any other club, because if you find it, get the donor, get the car in, boom, half the proceeds will be yours.
Yeah, and I'm just going to share my experience. I don't know if those who were on the call at the very beginning heard me talking to Mark. Years ago, when my son first started driving, I had not a very old Honda Accord. It was a nice car, and my son totaled it. So what did I do with that car? I had no idea what I should have done with the car. So I called Laura Day, Laura Young, and she suggested the Clayton Valley our second chance. I did that. I was just thinking I want to get rid of this totaled car, and by doing that, my own club, we got a check back from the Clayton Valley club. It was several thousands of dollars. I can't remember the exact price, but this program is able to take these cars and I think what he did was they were selling a lot of the parts overseas, but they were able to get a lot of money for that. And I think, is it a 50-50 mark? They kicked the 50% of the money back to the club.
Yeah, to the club. To the club that had the club that had the donor. In that case, you. And then the other 50% now, it's, I said, a split between Miranda Sunrise and Clayton Valley and Concord Sunrise.
Yeah. So yeah, this program was able to turn a completely totaled car into like an $8,000 Rotary revenue stream. So it's I'm with Mark. It's a very great program, and I would suggest that anyone on this call just might want to mention this in a meeting or two, because like Mark mentioned, there's a lot of people who might just have a car sitting in their home and they're back somewhere that they don't drive anymore, they want to get rid of. So it's a very good, easy fundraising project. So, okay, well, moving right along, I wanted to also talk about some of the new projects that clubs have been, I've been seeing that have kind of popped up, not, I wouldn't say just because of COVID, but maybe because of technology and all. And I've noticed that some clubs they're still doing the food, the meals, but they're doing it like a takeout or a pickup. Maybe what they'll do is a barbecue or some type of delivery. And I think that that's been very successful as well. I've also heard, even Steve Black, I've talked to Steve Black about it, a virtual wine drinking or beer drinking event as well. And he tells me some clubs are having a lot of success with those types of fundraising. I don't know if anyone else on the call has experienced that as well or have seen that, but I've been hearing from other Rotarians that could be a good project. I don't know if anyone wants to share if they've had an experience with that. Okay. Another thing that some clubs have used is just some charity, some online auctions. I know the San Ramon Club has a very successful online auction. I think it's it's a very big fundraiser for them. And a lot of other clubs are doing that, just selling things online, kind of not necessarily a silent auction, but I guess it could be a silent auction. I think a lot of clubs have gone that way since the pandemic, and low-hanging fruit as well. I don't think there's a whole lot of, I don't know. I haven't been a part of those, though. I wouldn't think that there's a tremendous amount of work. And I know there are websites that can help you promote those. So does anyone want to share their experiences with that?
Just real quick, I know a couple of clubs that I have, a little bit of knowledge of that have done this very, very successfully, especially during the couple of years when they couldn't get together in person. The Concord Club did a really great job on the virtual auction events, and the club that really got it started, as far as I know, even before COVID set in, was the Chico Sunrise Club. Did a really, really good job with the online auctions. So, and again, you can just go to DACDB. Look up the folks, see who the fundraising chair is, or, if there's somebody else a similar position to yours, and just reach out to these folks and say, hey, I heard that you did a good job with this type of project. Can you clue me in? And I'd be very surprised if they, weren't happy to do a little bragging about how successful they were, and give you some good ideas. Might be very helpful for your club. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else in another session had mentioned the Mount Shasta Club that has a pie event. That looks like it was, looks like it was a very, very popular event from what I hear. Mark, it sounds like you know a little bit about that. You want to share your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think that was for the Blackberry Festival in Mount
Right.
Shasta, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think they were able to do that. I think it was just, when was the weed fire got started? They were able to do it. I mean, last Saturday, on schedule last Saturday, even though, they were also concerned about folks up in Weed, since Weed is just, up the road from Mount Shasta with a fire that started up there last week. But yeah, that's one of their really big fundraising events. And again, something that's very, distinctive and specific to their community.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to go through a list of some other ideas that I've heard other Rotary clubs have used as fundraisers. Maybe it's something that your club might want to consider. Things like maybe a bingo night, a barbecue contest, Christmas tree disposal. When I was in Houston for the Rotary International Convention, a Rotarian was telling me about a flag fundraiser where their club, what they do is they go out and they put flags on the houses or the lawns for Independence Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, and Veterans Day. They'll go out there, install a flag a day or two before the holiday. They come back out, take the flag out a day or two afterwards, and they just have an annual charge for this. And it was, according to this one Rotarian I was speaking to, a very successful fundraiser for them. The manpower would, or the Rotarian power, I should say, was involved in just going out there and just, installing and taking down the flag. Not a tremendous amount of work. And he told me it was they made a lot of money from it. Another Rotarian I spoke to says that they have a Santa Claus picture taking event where, just like they do at the malls, if the malls can do it, why can't a Rotary club do it? And then talent shows is another one. I mentioned that my club had done a talent show. That one I would suggest takes a little more manpower, so just be warned with that one. So I don't know. I would love to hear from others on the call. What are some of the fundraisers that you guys are doing? What are your thoughts on that? Are you having success with them? What would you change? We would love to hear from others on the call.
I know that Sugar Hall put in some information about on chat, one of the programs that her club's involved in.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some little kids playing at my house, so it's rowdy here. I was utilizing the chat.
Okay. Let's see here. There is also a newer Adopt a Highway program in which your club can adopt and clean your area and get funding from council. Oh, that's interesting. Has your club done that?
I printed out all the information. I'm fairly new in my club, so I try not to step on any toes. It has not been discussed yet because we've had several guest speakers, but I believe the information is, once you adopt your section, you get a sign, so that's free advertisement as well. And then
We lost you. That's okay.
And then,
okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
You list the dates and then submit pictures of, all your garbage bags. And I think it pays like up to $250 per event or per quarter.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. All right. That's something for a lot of clubs to think about. All right.
Dan, just occurred to me, one of the, we were talking about multi-club projects. I know that one that clubs in Solano County do, some of the Fairfield clubs and the Vacaville, it's Vacaville clubs and Dixon, they do a big pumpkin festival on the weekends leading up to Halloween. I think it's either 4 or 5 clubs that, that work on that.
Yeah.
And they have it at the California Railway Museum between Rio Vista and Fairfield. but it's a huge family fun event. It's a great fundraiser for, for those 4 or 5 clubs. And that's another example of, of clubs working together on a bigger project.
Got it. Got it. All right.
And I'll say it's a great one. Come on out this October.
All right. All right.
Dan, let me just share one other idea, if you don't
Sure.
mind. I hate to monopolize here, but
No. I welcome this. Go ahead.
sometimes you can get good fundraising events from the interests of your members. Experience here in Miranda Sunrise, we did the auctions, we did the dinners, and things of that nature. We're looking for something a little bit different, and we realized we had several members of our club who were woodworkers, and they really enjoyed putting things together with their hands. So the first thing we built a sailing canoe, then we built a different canoe, and then we built a teardrop, a beautiful teardrop trailer. We probably had about, I think, 8 or 9 projects over the past several years. Right now, we just finished this beautiful flower cart, a rolling flower cart. And we would then, we'd usually raffle those off. I think one time, though, we did an online auction for that. But, again, this is something where the members really enjoyed working together to create this item that then sold, sold for a pretty, nice chunk of change. So they felt great about creating the project, and then terrific when the project produced the kind of financial results we were looking for. So that was something that was really a lot of fun. So if you can just kind of get a sense of what maybe hobbies that some of your members have that maybe, be connected with a project that your club could work on, that can be just really rewarding in many different ways.
Well, very good. Okay. Tracy, I see that you have your hand raised.
Hello, everybody. I'll figure out how to lower my hand in a minute from my little iPhone here. So I'm a little remote, but thank you so much for your presentation. I like the reminder about artisans. Just some experience for us from this year. This is Vacaville, by the way. Our golf fundraiser is our largest fundraiser of the year. However, we have a heck of a time getting folks to work on it. I think it's just one of those long-running fundraisers. So I've been throwing out a bunch of just really off-the-wall ideas and seeing what sticks. And I told them I won't have feelings hurt if it doesn't take traction. But I'm also getting the city involved, downtown businesses involved, other nonprofit groups involved, so that it becomes so much larger than our club. And our club then feels like they don't have to take the lead on it, but then they just kind of jump in and follow. Some of those ideas probably will circulate around some kind of Christmas parade or toy giving. It doubles with one of the projects we already do. One of my future Rotarians, every time I see him, he's got new ideas. He wants to do video game playoff. He wants to do touch a truck. We're going to probably do that in the spring. Now we've got probably half a dozen to a dozen brand new ideas. We're just going to try and make them easy, try and make them in guidelines, throw them at the wall, see what sticks, and maybe we got something that comes out next time. So just sharing.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you, Tracy. That you gave us some things to think about there. All right. I did want to mention one thing. My club, this year we tried to do a lottery, or not a lottery, but we sold lottery tickets, and we had to pull back on that because there's a lot of restrictions. That is a form of gambling. Yeah, we found out that toes might have been put on a line or even over a line, so we had to cancel that. But I would just caution clubs to do your due diligence before you decide to do something like that, because you don't want to start something and then have to pull back because of certain regulations and laws that might prevent that from going through. Yeah,
especially in terms of using the term raffle. Yeah, the state gets really picky about what you have to do, what hoops you have to jump through for a raffle. So sometimes you can skirt that by calling it a drawing rather than a raffle, and usually have to say, if you're doing that way, you have to offer people in very fine print a free ticket, even if they don't buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of watch that. Probably somebody in your club is familiar with the rules and regs, but yeah, you don't want to be on the wrong side of the law on these things.
Right.
Wait, I have to ask. So I bought a ticket for your garden wheelbarrow thing.
You mean the San Ramon Valley Rotary Club?
Or is that a
No,
drawing? I bought a
So
ticket.
that is, I was concerned about that too, Suzanne, but they, they made it very clear to me. They did go through the state office and did everything they were supposed to do in terms of
Oh.
registering that as a raffle. But, yeah, but good
Ah.
point. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. And then Sarah mentioned in the chat that, and don't forget, as of September 1, if you are selling alcohol, there is a new mandatory course you have to certify for. I was not aware of that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Sarah. And that's probably some sage advice for all Rotary clubs because many of our fundraisers do, in fact, have alcohol present. So that's something to think about there. I know in another fundraiser that my club does do, and I don't think we are putting any toes over the line on that one. We have we sell margaritas at a local or at our city Memorial Day event, and it's we have to get a liquor license for that one. You can get like a very short-term liquor license without too much hassle. So that's something to think about. So thank you for that comment, Sarah. Well, I don't want to go over our time, and I know we're getting close to that, but I wanted to just open this up for anyone else who has any thoughts or comments about fundraising. If they wanted to share any of their successes or challenges that they had, this is your time. So please. Well, okay. Hearing none. Well, according to my watch, we are now at 11:45, and I was told that this breakout goes from 11 to 11:45. So there you go. So I don't know if anyone has any parting questions. Hearing none, I will just say thank you everyone for attending our event. I appreciate the fact that it was very interactive and a lot of people had some comments and thoughts, and it made for a very enjoyable breakout, at least from my perspective. So thank you, everyone.